feel like you're just going through the motions in life? This podcast is for you. A while back, I felt just like you. It wasn't until I heard that whisper in the wind, Nadine, learn to podcast. Now I'm on a journey of discovery, interviewing others who have also leaped into the unknown. I'm Nadine O, creator of the Over 50 You Are Not Done Yet show, a podcast about personal awakenings, spiritual connections, and stories of joy. Shall we begin?
It is the purpose of life to take and be aware of our moments of grace that we have and live our life in an awakened state.
It's a Saturday morning in December, and Bhavisha is preparing to open her house for an art showing by the Nadine Arts Collaborative. Works by a group of Philly artists, including Bhavisha's, were on display. Bhavisha has graciously agreed to sit down with me in the very studio she paints in, her sanctuary, as she calls it. So I'd like to start by talking about your story. What's your story? Who is Bhavisha?
Bhavisha is Bhavisha in a nutshell. My instinct is to tell you that I'm an artist and I'm a lawyer. And I could add a few personal details on there, but that's an answer that just comes out because it's how we answer things in our world today. It's not the way I want to define myself.
How do you want to define yourself?
I would define myself as a person, as everybody else is a person. Best way that I think of myself and everybody else is, to quote Desjardins, we are spiritual beings having a human experience on this earth, and in some ways we are all just one. So trying to define myself separately is dividing myself away from what I think is a whole, and so I would not necessarily just want to define myself.
How young are you, and how do you feel about your age?
I turned 50 this September. Yes, when I was 49, I was feeling the same way as I feel when I am 50. I want to say I'm young at heart. The biggest difference, though, with age is at a certain point in time you realize that you've lived more years than you are going to probably live in the future, and time becomes more important.
You were a lawyer in New York.
Yes.
Right? And practicing what kind of law?
I did personal injury litigation for 20 years. Always wanted to be a lawyer. Always wanted to be a lawyer in New York City. I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I got to achieve a dream.
Now, I read somewhere you had an accident or something, an injury?
Yes, this is the story of how I started to paint. When I was working in New York, I was commuting from Philadelphia, and I would take Amtrak to New York back and forth every day. One morning, I just slid off that platform and into the train tracks and shattered my femur, which put me into a place where I was home on and off for 5 years, multiple surgeries. A friend gifted me paints, and I started painting. More information on painter Bhavisha Patel can be found in our show notes and on our website. It was something to do, something beautiful to do, something that took my mind off things, my ability to express my emotions. And from there, I grew. And it never left me. I had started having shows about 5 years before I gave up the legal profession. 20 years is a long time to do the same thing. I was trying cases, and at some point in life, when you start hearing yourself repeating the same things and you can no longer hear your own voice, it's time to move on. I stopped being a lawyer without a complete idea of what I was going to do, except that I know that I was going to spend a lot of time just painting. Mm-hmm. And now it's become my life.
We are here right now in your studio. Is that right?
Yes.
Surrounded by your work.
My little sanctuary.
Yes. One of the things that is quite prevalent, elephants.
Yes.
What is it about your elephant?
So Nadine, you know, I am from Kenya. And so I've grown up with a lot of wildlife. For a time being, I was spending time near Amboseli National Park, where my brother used to fly hot air balloons, and I used to spend a lot of time with him in a house which was fenced with electric fences, but there was wildlife all around. Elephants were my most favorite things because they are so emotionally intelligent. They're these gentle giants that we know a lot about, but probably not everything. And sometimes I feel like they probably have a greater emotional intelligence than we do, and suddenly are very caring and loving and compassionate creatures. And that is my attraction to them.
You call it your elephant?
Yes, very possessive.
Yes. We find him in the city, walking along the street in Kenya, in the field, and this is really interesting, alongside the railroad track.
Yes, alongside the railroad tracks.
What's going on there?
This year I started this series called #Save the Elephants. Part of it was motivated by what happens with the current administration and where we are going towards sustainability. The opening up of the ability to import animal parts is definitely not, well, it's upsetting. #Save the Elephants is to bring our attention to the elephant in the room. For a lot of people, it could be different symbols. For me, he's an older elephant who used to roam around behind our home. The herds of elephants are maternal. Mm. The males tend not to be part of the herd, but when they age, they try to move away from their mates. And this was one of the guys. He had moved away because he was aging, and he has a broken tusk. Mm-hmm. He wasn't the nicest of all the elephants. Loved to get into fights, which is how I believe he broke his tusk. But he makes a good messenger. He is older. He has a broken tusk. It's on his own right, even if it's through fights. And he has one whole and complete tusk, as you can see, and so long that it almost wants to drag on the ground. Mm. And he's part of our world, and we should let him be, just as we should let everything be. Mm. Give them the right to have their space.
There probably will be a lot of people listening who aren't artists, but they appreciate music, or they appreciate dance, or they appreciate reading a good book. It's really tapping into the energy, that moment.
And every moment is a gift. It is the purpose of life, to take and be aware of our moments of grace that we have and live our life in an awakened state.
When you paint, you're in an awakened state.
Yes or no, I don't know. I am lost.
How can you be lost in painting?
You just get lost in painting. I can especially if it is happening. Yeah, you just get, I'll have music on. I always have music on. And you get so lost into what you are doing. It's wonderful.
Can anyone paint?
Yes, anyone can paint. What is art? Well, art is in lots of form, but what I do is I make mostly everything that is on a canvas, and anyone can apply paint to a canvas. And I've taught myself how to paint. So yes, anybody can paint and learn how to paint the way I paint, or in any way you want to paint. But I realized as I was painting, I saw more and more and more. I could have walked past the same scene so many times, but once I started to paint, I would see so much more that I had never seen. But yes, I would encourage painting just to learn how to see.
Don't go anywhere. My interview with Bhavisha Patel continues.
A few years ago, I started a group called the Nadine Street Art Collaborative. These are artists who live in my neighborhood. Okay. And I brought them all together. And every few months, we have art salons. Mm-hmm. Downstairs in my dining room, I have installed a hanging system. It almost looks like a gallery. And so every few months, we change the art. Mm-hmm. We open up. My home is open to the public, and people come and go from the hours. This weekend, it will be today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, which is usually when all the shows are. We're open generally from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and people come and go, look at the art, make conversation. It's a very neighborhoody thing, and sometimes we even get people from far away.
Ever have a moment where you say to yourself, I totally should be doing this? I did. Don't go anywhere. My aha moment is coming up as I continue my conversation with Bhavisha Patel.
At the end of every year and before the next year starts, I get a diary. So I'm a person who actually likes to schedule myself on paper, and I schedule what I want to get done for the year. This is something that I've been doing for many years. It works for me. I think it's a good technique to have some sort of vision. I break down my goals into what my spiritual goals are, what my health goals are, what my art goals are, books I want to read, make a list of those, and dreams. One of the things that has been on my dream list is to have a show at the Tate in London. The last couple of years, I have been thinking it needs no longer to be a dream. It needs to go into a list of things to actually achieve under my art goals.
For those who may be struggling to get up in the morning, you are not alone. I've been there. Bhavisha has this to say.
There is a reason always. If you wake up with breath in you, there is a reason why you should be up. It is important, I think, to feel I have done what I can do. My motto is you should be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am happy with what I did today, or this was one good thing I did today, or I did something that is meaningful today. I can go to bed knowing I gave and I used my gifts and my talents. It's also important to be fulfilled in life. So I always want to know that if I die tomorrow, I'm okay with that. And in that sense, it's not emptiness, but it's being full. You know, that you have tried your best and done everything you can with what you have. But we all make small impacts every day.
More information on painter Bhavisha Patel can be found in our show notes and on our website. At over 50, you are not done yet. Tell me something. What's your story? What's your song? That's what this is really about. Finding it and singing it. I hope this episode inspires you to leap into the unknown. My name is Nadine O, and you've been listening to the Over 50 You Are Not Done Yet show. Until the next time.